Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be answering questions that many people have about Canada. Questions such as how to get job sponsorship in Canada, a dedicated website for that, how to become a teacher in Canada coming from another country, how to identify a fake LMIA, like questions that I'm pretty sure when you're actually applying for Canadian entry that you will need answers to. And diving into the video proper, the first question I'll be answering that many people used to ask, which is very common, is how do I get visa sponsorship job to Canada? And we need to actually understand how this works before you can actually know if you are really going to get it, because what many people think about when they talk about getting a visa sponsorship job in Canada is that they think, okay, I will get a job that will give me accommodation, that will sponsor my flights, that will do this, that will do that for me. But that is hardly true. You will not really get jobs that pay for your flight ticket. There's another question that I will answer that will address this very well. So getting a job in Canada, when you get a job in Canada, what you first need to do if you want to go to Canada through the job route is that when you get a job, your employer will file what we call LMIA. LMIA is actually a document that shows that, okay, no Canadian citizen or a permanent resident in Canada can actually fill that position. So maybe they don't have the skill set, or maybe there's nobody to fill it because of job shortage. So this is what this LMIA is. So your employer will file LMIA to confirm that no Canadian citizen and also no Canadian permanent resident could fill that position, and they are going to pay 1,000 Canadian dollars to that effect in filing the LMIA. So you know that, okay, if a job wants to sponsor your visa, you know that this is actually something that it's also going to cost them something on their part. So, and that's why many jobs we actually post that they only want someone in Canada, or someone who is a permanent someone in Canada, or someone who already has an authorization to work in Canada. So you don't really need to be applying for jobs that have already been stated that, okay, they just want people in Canada, because they are not ready to commit to that payment of LMIA on filing process. So if you get an employer that could actually file the LMIA on your behalf, then after the LMIA, then you will use that to also apply for a closed work permit, and then from the closed work permit, when you get approved, then you will go to Canada. So that is how it really works most of the time when you want to travel to Canada through the work route. It's not as if you are giving any special treatment of paying your flight, 60-day vacation, or all those kind of things. What the greatest commitment on the part of the employer is that they actually file LMIA on your behalf, and they're going to pay 1,000 Canadian dollars to that effect. And if you want to get a job, you can use Indeed. In Canada, you can use Indeed to look for a job. I did a video about finding a job in Canada. Some jobs that can actually give you a full sponsorship, like give you an accommodation, give you sponsor. They will not even sponsor your flight, but what they will do is they will give you an accommodation. They can even give you food, maybe dinner or lunch. The job that actually does this most of the time is actually season jobs, like in the agricultural sector. So these are the jobs that sometimes employ people from third world countries, and then they give them special treatment. They give them a flat. They will share the flat with someone who they are working together in that season, and they may or may not also be giving them food. So this is only the job that sometimes actually goes to the extent of giving you the special treatment. But aside from that, you will not get a job that will give you all the full, sponsoring your ticket and the likes, or except, of course, nothing is impossible except you are highly talented, like maybe in the IT, you are a programmer, you are a mathematician, or things like that there can be special arrangement for you. And when you are actually applying for your closed work permit, what you will need is proof of identity, a clean criminal record. You will need a clean criminal record, and you will also need some other documents. And one thing I will advise here is that make your application very early, because after you file for your closed work permit, you will actually be the IRCC will process it, and then they will invite you for an interview, and then after the interview, then you wait for a decision, and the decision can actually take several weeks. So it's advisable that you apply earlier. The earlier the better on this. And you should also know the type of documents that will be needed. Different jobs actually require different requirements, so you should know the requirement that your job needs, so that when you're applying, you do not omit anything. Even though your company has filed an LMIA on your behalf, there's still some things that you will also need to prove on your part when you're actually applying for your passport. For example, you will need to prove your education. Some jobs will require you to write IELTS. You need to prove your education. You need to prove your experience because you are going on work. So some jobs will require you to prove that okay, you really have this experience. So when you are being interviewed, you will have to prove your education, prove your experience, and some other things. And when you are filling your form, make sure you prepare all the documents. Do not omit any documents because this can lead to denial. So that's that on how to get sponsored jobs in Canada. And the next question that many people also ask that we'll be talking about is someone said he's a mathematician and is currently looking to teach mathematics or further maths in Canada. How do you do this? Someone who wants to actually go to Canada to become a teacher. Before you can actually become a teacher in Canada, you have to be licensed. It's BED, Bachelor in Education. And Bachelor in Education license actually, it's some people who are even citizens of Canada, they first acquire their degree program, and then when they acquire the degree program, then they apply for a Bachelor of Education. So when they get it, that's when they can teach. So you will have to, what I will advise in this regard is, if you want to move to Canada, you will have to get this license, and you'll be licensed by acquiring the Bachelor of Education. So you can do this by probably consulting a university that okay, can you take this course online? If they give you the flexibility of taking it online, then you can get the course and then apply to jobs. And then if you get a school or a private school that can apply for LMIA on your behalf, then you go. And another thing you can do in this regard is that you can actually apply for express entry, because you've already been licensed. So that will actually give you a higher score under the express entry. So that's one way that you can do that if you want to teach in Canada. And another question is, some people used to ask that, can I go to Canada with my COPR, which is confirmation of permanent residency? Maybe you get a job. So what is applicable here is that you can actually enter Canada and start your job when you get a COP. When you get your COPR, the COPR actually gives you the opportunity to enter Canada, but your permanent residency is still in process. So but your permanent residence actually gives you the opportunity to exit Canada and enter Canada again. Or maybe you're in Canada, you want to maybe take a tour to the United States, so your permanent residency will give you this opportunity. But COPR gives like a one-time entry to enter Canada, but you cannot use it to exit and enter Canada. So with your COPR, you can resume at your work in Canada. But of course, before you even start looking for your work, you need to go to Service Canada and get social insurance number. When you get the social insurance number, that is when I will advise that you start looking for jobs. Going to another question, someone asked that I have received an LMIA offer, and how can I be sure if it's original or fake? Because there are a lot of scammers out there as well. So if you get an LMIA, that okay, company has filed it on your behalf, they give you the number of the LMIA, they send proof to you and the likes, and you are worried if it's fake. One thing I will advise here is that if they are asking for money, then it's likely to be fake. And also, if it's too good to be true, then it's definitely too good to be true. Some of these jobs will be promising you that okay, we are going to give you 60+ day vacation, we are going to sponsor your flight itinerary, we are going to give you an accommodation, or the likes. That is a pointer that it is not true, it is fake. As I've said earlier, the only jobs that actually gives some, not all, some benefit like accommodation is season jobs. So, or except you are highly skilled. And so you just have to be careful. If it's too good to be true, then it's actually too good to be true. So if they're asking you for money, it's likely to not be genuine. And if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So there's no actually a standard way of saying okay, this is how I'm going to check it if it's fake or original. I'm going to another question. Someone asked that how much can an IT specialist earn? An IT specialist in Canada, of course, you can just Google that and you will get some results and you get an idea of the of what you earn, of what an IT specialist can earn. But of course, an IT specialist always earn between moderate to above moderate. IT specialists are actually being paid very well, but of course, depending on their level of experience, what they've worked on in the past, the industry they are working in, the education that they have, their certification, and their employer as well. So those are the things that comes into play to determine how much you can earn. But you can expect that an IT specialist always earn between moderate to above moderate. And another question someone asks is that is there a centralized way, is there a better website where you can get jobs in Canada? And there's actually a website that you can use to actually get jobs in Canada. The website is the website actually connects numerous Canadian government jobs, private sector jobs, and there are also some search engine jobs like monster.ca, job bank, and work police. So this website is a centralized website that actually takes all these listing, and then you'll be able to see it. And the website is www.canada-visa.com/canada-job-search-2.html. I will put the link in the description below. And also there is actually a video that I did as well that talks about finding a job in Canada, in Saskatchewan region of Canada. It may be good for you. There's also a video I did about season jobs in Canada and how to find those jobs. You can check for this video as well. And the last question I'll be addressing, someone asked, how do you practice medicine in Canada? This is actually a tough question because you have to get a license to practice medicine in Canada, and there are some different specifications in different regions of Canada. But generally, you have to actually pass the MAQ Part 1 exam, and you will only be able to pass the MAQ Part 1 exam when you have your permanent residence. So you have to get permanent residence first, and then that's why sometimes some medical people come to Canada and they end up becoming Uber driver, and they start doing this manual job because of the humongous requirements to be licensed. And the major stumbling block here is getting a residency spot, because for you to get a residency spot, before you could even get it, a lot of Canadian medical students, they would have gotten almost all of the spots that are available. So you wouldn't have the opportunity to choose many spots. The only spots that most of the time are left are people who want to work in psychiatric, family medicine, pathology, public health, and also you can increase your chance of getting it. There are some spots that are left for French speaking residency, and if you can speak French, then you will increase your chance of getting a spot and getting a residency. But generally, it's actually hard for international migrants to get a residency spot in Canada. That is the major stumbling block why many people are not able to practice. So what I would advise is that if medicine is your part, if you still want to practice medicine, you can go to countries such as UK, the US. These people are even more welcoming. UK is employing a lot of international migrants, or US, they are actually less strict on the requirement. Even in US, you can easily get the license, but of course in US you may have to serve an underserved community, or you may not be able to serve where you want to serve, but you will still be able to serve, practice medicine, even though you may or may not serve an underserved community. So Canada is actually very, very stringent. It's a little bit hard. If you want to go into medicine, I would advise you browse other countries. So these are all the questions that I want to answer in this video, and I hope you've been able to learn a lot. So this is opportunity news, where I bring to you related news such as this and opportunities you can apply for and get, and every other thing that you may need to know, and probably travel out of your country to Europe, to Canada, to UK, to any country in the world that can brighten your future. That is what this channel is all about, and I hope you like this video, and I hope you also subscribe to this channel, and hopefully see you in subsequent videos. Thank you.